You may ask yourself, exactly what is the rapture? The rapture is the moment in time when all Christians who have lived from the time that Jesus went to the cross all the way up until that present moment will be given their glorified bodies. They will be harvested from the earth, raptured, if you will, caught up into the clouds to meet Jesus in the air, and they will go to live with Jesus in heaven for 7 years. There's two main passages in our Bibles in the New Testament that address the specifics of the rapture and what takes place at that time. One is 1 Corinthians 15, and the other is 1 Thessalonians 4. I want to read to you from the 1 Corinthians 15 passage. This is 1 Corinthians 15:50. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, nor does corruption inherit incorruption. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet will sound, and the dead will be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible has put on incorruption, and this mortal has put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. What a great promise this is. I want to go through this kind of one by one and look at the promises that are being made here. And the reason why I refer to this as a promise is literally because there's no way that we can go to heaven and be in the presence of God the Father without the glorified body. We always kind of knew that at some point in the future we would have to have the glorified body. And in 1 Corinthians 15:50, right away, you're told that how flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God. And it literally is the fulfillment of that promise. Next, so many of your rapture deniers go in and they kind of make fun of the rapture and they go, oh, it's the secret rapture. Well, behold, I show you a mystery. That's kind of where that comes from. And the whole idea is that this was not taught in detail. There were types and shadows of it. There was illusions that the rapture would take place in the future, but there was no actual teaching of a rapture before this. So it literally is the mystery. I will show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. And again, you have to be changed because you cannot be in the presence of the Lord not in his glorified state. You cannot be in the presence of God the Father. You cannot travel to heaven. These are all things that you cannot do with the fleshly, sin-prone bodies that we currently have. You literally have to have a glorified body that is sin-free, incorruptible, and built to last forever. In the moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. I really want to go over this twinkling of an eye. The twinkling of the eye is roughly about 1/100th of a second. It's not a blink. A blink is a very long period of time and compared to a twinkling. A twinkling is literally like the amount of time it takes the light to hit your eyeball. We're always told by some of these wild oat sowers that they're going to get right with Christ when the time's right. They have plenty of time. People that hear about the rapture go, oh, when I see you people go, and I'll say, oh yeah, Jesus, take me, take me. Twinkling of an eye does not give anyone enough time to do anything. You're literally speaking about an instantaneous, faster than a thought, faster than a blink, faster than anything you can possibly do. We're talking 20,000 blinks your eyeball does per day, and a twinkling is 1/100th faster than that. It just gives you reason to understand why the day of salvation has to be today. anyone who looks at the rapture as though it's an escapism and that you are somehow going to make Christians lazy by teaching this rapture, it actually makes you much more prepared. If you understand that Jesus could return in the twinkling of an eye, you're going to be ready. You're going to be prepared. It's going to rev up the engine of your heart, making you much more prepared to be with Christ than it would be if you think you have 7 years of a tribulation to go through before he could even possibly come back. This is part of why I do think that the rapture is not a secondary issue at all. It's actually, it weighs heavy on salvation because it gives you an urgency to seek him, an urgency to gain that salvation. You don't think you have all the time in the world. You understand that Jesus could return at any moment, and knowing this gives your heart the urgency to accept him and accept him now. This is why the Bible does say that the day of salvation is today. And this absolutely shows you why it could be a matter of someone's salvation, maybe not yours. But it's a very important doctrine, and it should definitely be studied, looked at, and every person needs to have a belief on this. It's not good enough to just say it's secondary and it's not important. And you need to know what you believe, and you need to know why you believe it, and you need to be able to give an account for it. Because there will come a time, if you haven't already had it, that someone will challenge you on the rapture, and you need to know what you believe so someone doesn't try to steal your faith away from you. Next time we're going to look at 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. Please stay tuned, and I'll see you then.